Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between. I am Amayirot Akago, and you're watching Deathgate. Last time, we went into the scummy town of Skirvash to infiltrate the Tower of the Brotherhood and get our hands on the cache of Sartan artifacts they were keeping there. Among them was a guidebook to the dwarven Kigzy-Winsy, which helped us to locate the piece of the World Seal on Arianus. But, even stranger than that, we found a chamber full of crystal coffins, all of them full of dead Sartan. So, as I already said, the plot thickens. Why were the Sartan there? Why are they all dead? Questions that will hopefully get answered as we continue on our adventure. And return to the Nexus to show our prize off to Lord Tsar, and then hopefully make our way to Pryan, since we now have this handy book with the naming rune of the realm on it, which will help us to get there. So, first order of business is to probably use the rune transfer spell to put that on our ship's steering stone. But, as said, first we take the dragon ship back through the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. Bum ba 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 ba. Alright. Check out what I got.
Welcome back, my son. I see you've been successful. You have Arianus' seal piece. Congratulations. Now, please give me a report.
You hand over the seal piece and describe your adventures on Arianus in detail. Most of the antics of the Mensch seem to bore Lord Tsar, but he pays rapt attention to the discovery of the reference book of Pryan and of the crystal coffins holding the hundreds of Sartan corpses.
Amazing. The only Sartan you find are long dead. I wonder if someone has stolen our vengeance from us, or if their consciences did them in. I will have to consider this new information. Now, was there anything else before you use your newfound book to go on to Pryan, Realm of Fire?
You know, Arianus was not a prison. The Mensch weren't slaves. Most of their problems were of their own making. Perhaps the Sartan knew what they were doing?
My son, of course it may appear to be that way. Naturally, the Mensch weren't rebelling against the Sartan. According to your own report, the Sartan there are dead. Believe me, if the Sartan had been alive, they would have been grinding the Mensch under their heels.
Haplo makes an interesting point, but we still don't know enough to know for sure.
We are doing them a favor by removing the Sartan threat forever, or confirming its absence, and finally taking over the reins of their lives. The Sartan were right about one thing. The Mensch do need guidance. They're like children. Listen to your own report. Their squabbles are almost laughable. When we finally bring the world together, we shall give them the leadership that they so sorely need.
Maybe Lord Tsar may be going a bit too far? I don't know.
What do you suppose killed the Sartan? They all looked fairly young.
I'm not sure. Perhaps a plague. Although I've never heard of a plague so selective that it wipes out an entire race and leaves others untouched. I don't think we have enough information yet. Hopefully you will learn more in your travels.
Can you tell me anything about your research?
The book I'm reading now is titled The History of the Sundering. Not only is it woefully inadequate, but it was improperly stored, and moisture has damaged many of the pages.
Damned moisture!
The book discusses the 6 Sartan responsible for the plan: Sama, Dimitri, Orsef, Lornoy, Tyler, and Waleth. Each created a specific spell, and for reasons I won't go into, it is vital that I learn which spell each Sartan created. The book did have that information once, but the water destroyed it. so I've been forced to do quite a bit of research on each person. I've divined much about their personalities from other texts. I'm hoping that this will tell me what kind of spell they would be likely to create. I've become very familiar with each of them, and I've named them the 6 devils. Each is a devil in a unique way.
He gives you a piercing look as if to underscore how vital it is for you to understand the enemy. Oh good. We're just back to see Lord Tsar, and he's already given us even more of an info dump, although this is actually vital information, as we'll find out later.
Tell me about Sama.
I call Sama the devil of the soul. He was insidious. Although the Sartan Council was theoretically democratic, Sama could talk them into anything. In fact, there was much dissension on the council when the plan was discussed. Many felt that it was too extreme, but Sama thundered right through the contrary arguments. The rest is history.
What did you learn about Dimitri?
I know Dimitri as the devil of the hand. He was very skilled at a variety of arts and was a talented musician. It's said that his interests were very diverse, and he resented the time he was forced to spend on the council.
Who is Orsef?
Orsef is the devil of the heart. It is closest to the soul, and in truth, Orsef was Sama's closest advisor. He spent much time among the Mensch, studying them. The Mensch fascinated Orsef for some reason. It was he who was placed in charge of overseeing the transportation of the Mensch into the 4 realms.
Can you tell me about Lornoi?
I call Lornoi the devil of the eye. He was one of the few that saw the many problems with the plan. He was the leader of the pitiful opposition. I guess it shows how pitiful indeed the opposition was, that Lornoi was one of the instrumental participants in the plan. Sama must have talked swiftly to convince him.
Tell me about Tyler.
Tyler is the devil of the mind. He was the youngest and quickest of all 6 Sartan. If not for him, the plan might never have occurred. Although he was very ambitious, he wasn't nearly the politician that Sama was. Sama used him, as he used everyone to further his own plans.
Who is this Wayleth?
I refer to Wayleth as the devil of the tongue. Sama knew that Wayleth was a skilled speaker and well-liked, perhaps almost as good a politician as he. He kept Wayleth from the council for that very reason, and was fortunate that Wayleth had no political aspirations. Otherwise, he might have had a fight on his hands.
With all of the dissension going on among the Sartan, maybe they weren't all that different from the Mensch to begin with.
Can I take a look at that book?
I'm afraid not. It's so damaged now that I have to keep special care of it. I never move it from this desk, and I turn the pages only with reluctance. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's go back to some other topic.
Of course. What do you want to know?
Don't know if he really has anything new to tell us there.
Can we talk about some of the subjects you touched on earlier?
Of course. What do you want to know?
Let's go back to some other topic.
Of course. What do you want to know?
Oh. That was the briefest conversation ever.
That's enough for right now. I'd like to talk to you later if you don't mind.
Very well. I'll be here.
Fortunately, that whole plot dump didn't take quite as long as I feared, so... On we go to Pryan, not Pryan. Yeah, we saw this. Your ship arrives over a field of green, trees large enough to hold cities. One of them has a flat area just big enough to land the ship on. But something else has caught your eye. A glowing crystal city nestled in the carpet of vegetation. You decide to investigate and land the ship in the clearing nearby. Well, this is certainly a change of scenery. Ah, this music. Lush green forests. Nice pink plants that I just tore out of the ground. Sorry about that. The plant isn't particularly interesting except for its bright pink flowers. And his first instinct is to eat it. I thought that'd be a smell command, but... You nibble a bit of the flower. It's very bitter. Huh, okay. Good to know. Let's have a look at this natural wonderland that we've suddenly found ourselves in. Stand outside the huge Sartan edifice. A wall surrounds it. There are no obvious doors, only the alcove to the south. 3 recesses that look like they fit a hammer, a staff, and a sword. Sadly, we carry none of those. You can't get inside the citadel as long as that wall blocks your way. Yeah, I was just trying to look at it. Although the citadel appears to be one building, it is the size of a city. Crystal spires tower over the high walls which surround whatever lies within. Interesting. Wonder why it's closed off like that. Actually, I should probably read this book now that we are actually in Pryan, you know. Get to know a little bit about what to expect while we're here. Whoops. Wrong book. Okay, enough reading. So, apparently the whole point of the Sartans' plan to sunder the world was for the Mensch to learn to live in harmony with each other, by which time all 4 of the worlds would be linked together through the Death Gate. And the Citadel would be one of the places where the Mensch would be able to live once they had learned to live in harmony, once they would place their respective talismans in this door. And aiding them would be a race of giants known as the Titans, with a Y, who for now are just kind of wandering around, but the book also told us a certain melody with which they might be controlled, so that might come in handy later. But for now, let's continue looking around a bit. A strange animal seated on the ground in front of a bush startles at your entrance and leaps onto a branch. A tree grows in the middle of a patch of nut-bearing bushes. On a branch, an animal perches, watching you. A tree grows in the middle of a patch of nut-bearing bushes. Yeah, okay. That's a freaky-looking squirrel thing? The animal most resembles a cross between a squirrel and a monkey. Under a coat of thin fur, sleek muscles move as it sways back and forth on its branch. You get the impression that it could prove quite formidable if provoked, despite that there's nothing threatening about its manner. In fact, it seems to be alternating between wary curiosity and hunger. Its eyes travel back and forth between you to the bushes of nuts. Yoink! One of the nuts pulls away from its stalk rather easily, leaving behind a hole in the shell where its stalk was attached. You want a nut, little guy? You toss the nut up to the animal perched on the branch. A lightning-quick claw snatches the nut from the air. The animal tucks it close to its furry body and inserts 2 pointy talons into the hole in the shell. With a crack, the nut breaks open. Even from here you can smell the explosion of a rich, nutty aroma coming from the exposed nut meat. The animal carefully sniffs the interior of the nut, then, when it appears satisfied, eats the meat in a few quick bites. It discards the shell onto a pile of like shells and settles back down on the branch to rest. Well, that was enlightening. Can I grab another one? Grab some shells. Not sure what they're good for, but I'm sure we'll find a use for it somewhere. This isn't where I wanted to go. Can't get inside the these directions are a little confusing at times. The edge of a thick forest. Nothing of importance here. Oh! These are the Titans. Hidden among the trees, you catch only fleeting glimpses of the giants. They look human, although with 3 major differences. They stand about 20 feet high, they lack hair, and they have no eyes. You start to wander deeper into the forest when something very large, something you thought was a tree, moves threateningly toward you. You stumble backwards to where you started, and the motion stops. Okay, so these Titans aren't going to let me pass. Maybe I can attack them with my shear! Armed only with the rusty shear, you rush at the gigantic, immense, huge, invincible Titans. To your credit, you actually get in a couple of swipes before you find what it's like to be a smear on the ground. Oops. Okay. Now I actually know I can just hit the undo button and move back to where I left off, instead of what I did last time where I restarted the entire game by accident. The stump has only one branch and it is rather oddly shaped. It sticks up from the front at a curious angle. It doesn't look like we can actually do anything with it, but that does seem suspect. Let's see, where else can we go? No, not back in the ship. We should be able to go somewhere. Well, then again, maybe we're already done looking around here and we just need to take the ship somewhere else in this realm. Because, yep, there's a tree city over here. Anywhere else we can go? No, didn't think so. Let's see if we can actually meet some of the more talkative inhabitants of this realm. Giant trees support your ship over unseen ground, far, far below. There's a clothesline? It's mine now. Hope nobody was using that. Foliage covers almost every surface. Most of the plants resemble conventional bushes. Only the ground is free of them because of the constant traffic over it. Anyone home? The chamber appears natural, as if the wood of the tree grew with this space in mind. Ah, elves. They gonna be dicks to me too? You step into the middle of a busy kitchen, but on your arrival, all noise and movement suddenly cease. 3 pairs of eyes lock onto you. 2 elven women halt their conversation, and a child drops her broken doll and simply stares.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm here to help you do whatever it is you're doing.
I thought so. Humans only come here when they're looking for a handout or they need work. Well, it happens that I'm short-handed right now. Are you willing to work?
That sounds like the same voice actress as the female dwarf we met earlier. Yeah, well, 1990, voice acting budgets and all that.
Sure, I'll give it a try. What do you need me to do?
I'm glad to hear it. I'm so behind just now that I would welcome anyone's help, even from a human refugee.
Hey!
The king has decided to throw a party with his usual 2-hour notice. Get over to the counter and start kneading that dough. Let's see if you can handle that task before we move you on to anything more complicated.
Okay. You edge over to the counter, pick up the lump of dough, and half-heartedly begin to knead it. While you're doing this, the cook resumes her flurry of activity, continuing a conversation with the other woman as if there had been no interruption. She hurries about the room, tending to several tasks at once. At the same time, she not only manages to keep up her end of the running conversation, but the serving girl's side as well.
I'm worried about the children. I don't have a problem with them playing together, but the royal prince has begun to join in. There are human children in that group. You watch. Nothing good can come of that. No offense, you understand.
Oh no, of course not.
Anyway, I've saved the worst for last. There's a human adult out there. He's talking with the children, putting all sorts of ideas in their heads, ideas about all of the races living together, treating each other as equals. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's called the 21st century. You should try joining it sometime.
Rumor has it that he's a wizard. A child described some of his spells, and they're like nothing we've ever seen. In fact, the spells weren't even similar to any of those cast by the humans. Either this human is the most powerful to come along, or he's a member of a different race entirely. Wouldn't that be exciting?
Huh.
Maybe the child was exaggerating. You know how imaginative they can be.
Of course, that's true. Those children can come up with some wild ideas. Still, it would have been exciting.
You notice that the small elf child on the floor has been watching you with wide eyes and an unreadable expression. After a moment, she returns to playing with the battered, pathetic doll. She holds the doll above the floor and tries to make it walk around, but the fact that the doll is missing its head and a leg seems to make the experience less enjoyable than it should be. After a few moments, she drops the doll on the floor and sighs dejectedly. Can we do anything to help her? Maybe she wants this doll. The child looks at the toy in your hand and smiles. She throws aside the broken doll as she jumps up, claps, and runs over to grab the better toy. She turns it around in her hands and laughs happily.
You're nice. I like you. You have to meet my friends. Come on, let's go.
The child grabs your hand and starts to drag you outside. She runs outside and beckons you to follow. Ah. Hella annoying noise. But hey, we're making friends. The cook pulls a tray of sweet cakes from the oven. The aroma makes your mouth water. A loud buzzing draws your attention to a small window. You see a nasty-looking insect about the size of your fist flying into the kitchen, also attracted by the sweet smell. The serving maid screams and puts herself as far from the bug as she can. So, they have 1950s attitudes about equality and about small animals. Only the cook manages to remain calm. As the insect hovers over the cakes, she pulls out an ugly yellow flower from an apron pocket and crushes it in her hand. She unfolds her fingers and the room is suddenly filled with a horrible odor. The odor makes you feel somewhat queasy, but it seems to have a more substantial effect on the insect, which darts back out the window. Hint, hint.
It must be bug season again. Those terrible insects are such a bother. Every time I make something sweet, they show up, seemingly out of nowhere. On one occasion, I was actually stung by one of them. I was in bed for a week.
The serving woman slowly begins to relax.
These petals should do the trick of keeping them away today, but this is my last plant. I'm going to have to get the children to start harvesting the stinkweed again.
What was that bug?
Their hives appear during every harvest season. The insects that live in them usually leave us alone, unless they are angered or they smell something sweet. That drives them crazy. I always keep some stinkweed around, just in case.
Why does the flower drive off the insect?
As much as the bugs are drawn to the sweet smells of my cooking, they are repulsed by the smell of stinkweed. Actually, stinkweed isn't all that bad until you crush the petals, but then you'd best be as far away from it as you can get.
Where do you find that yellow plant?
I'm not sure. The plant grows wild in bunches, but it's difficult to find.
It
I have all
grows
the
in
children out searching
bunches.
for it. And since I reward their finds with sweets, the plant is in high demand. Whenever it's discovered in the wild, the children return with as much as they can carry. They practically drool over that patch growing on the nearest tree, but no one can get to it.
Oh, we can get candy.
May I have one of those cakes?
Absolutely not. I'm preparing these cakes for the king's party.
Oh.
You mean it's going to smell like that in here all day? I think I'm done with this dough, you see? All nice and needed.
Well, you've done a pretty poor job on the dough, but I don't think I'm going to get much better out of you. Leave then. I don't blame you for wanting to get away from the stinkweed.
Oh, Haplo, you're so vindictive. Oh well, we learned some information and we made a new friend, like I said.
I didn't think you'd ever get here. Come on, let's go. It's through here.
The elf child is here, tapping her foot impatiently. She wriggles through a clump of bushes to the east. You come upon a group of children gathered at the ledge. They're calling to someone below. One smaller child is crying. When you glance over the edge, you see a young elf trapped on a lower ledge, trying, without much success, to climb back up.
These are my friends. That doorknob down there is the prince. I guess he finally got up enough courage to go after the golden staff. He's been talking about it long enough. It doesn't look like he made it very far, though.
Looks like he might need a little help. Good thing I got this clothesline. You lower one end of the clothesline to the struggling prince. He grabs hold of it gratefully and you haul him up.
Thank you, sir, for coming to my aid. I would have made it out eventually by myself, but your help sped things up quite a bit. I am at your service, sir. Anything I can do for you, I will.
So, why did you climb down there? Not the smartest thing in the world to do.
I know. It's a long story. I was searching for the staff. I figured that I wanted it more than anyone who had gone before me. It turns out that I had much more enthusiasm than ability.
Staff? What staff?
I guess everyone isn't familiar with the legend. I'll tell it to you. Ages and ages ago, the gods gave 3 items to the races. To the dwarves, they gave a golden hammer. To the humans, they gave a golden sword. They gave us a golden staff.
Ah, the things we need to get into the Citadel.
The items were supposed to symbolize the race's roles in a new, unified society. The dwarves were to be the workers, the builders. That's what the hammer represented. The humans were supposed to be the protectors, hence the sword. We elves were the scholars, the leaders, of course. I guess it didn't quite work out that way.
No kidding.
After one of the ancient wars with the humans, my ancestor rebelled against the symbolism of the staff. He cursed the idea of living and working with the other races. So he took the staff and cast it into the maw, never to be seen again. He did it in the heat of anger, and soon regretted it. The staff represented more than the ancient legends. It was also a symbol of leadership. Without it, he chanced losing his power. So my ancestor climbed down into the maw to reclaim the staff. He never returned.
So what are the odds that we're gonna have to go down there later on?
Since then, members of the royal family have sought the staff. Every few generations, an elf will climb down into the maw, but not one has ever made it back. We don't even know what's at the bottom. We only know that there is solid ground, and the only way in is straight down. We call it the maw because it swallows up anything that enters it.
How could anything be worth risking your life like that?
Naturally, I wanted to regain the staff for my people. My father would be so proud of me. They would write songs about me. I would have done what all of my ancestors failed to do. Don't you think that's enough?
He looks at you a little desperately.
You tell me, lad.
You're right. I never really cared about the acclaim. There is another reason. There's a girl, a human girl. I love her.
Oh.
How would possessing the staff help you to get this girl?
The humans believe that the items from the gods are symbols of rulership. Every human leader since the beginning has carried the golden sword. The current monarch, the princess's father, has been ill for some time. While he's incapacitated, she has accepted the responsibility of rulership. With it, she has taken the sword. She takes her station very seriously, and she'll only consider a suitor of equal status. Because the humans equate rulership with the possession of the godly items, she won't even look in my direction if I don't have the staff.
That's all there is to it? You get the staff, and it gets you the girl?
Well, not quite. I have to earn her respect, and I'll never get it without the staff. After that, I'm not sure what to do. I think I have to soften her up somehow. Maybe I need something pretty to give her. Even if I do get in her good graces, I won't know what to say. I always get tongue-tied whenever I talk to her. I just don't know the right words. I think if I had something nice to give her and the right words to say, I'd have a chance.
Aw, a humble elf. I never thought I'd see the day.
Let me get this straight. You need the staff, the right words, and a pretty present? Sounds like you've been thinking about this for quite a while.
Forever. I decided that if I couldn't have her, I didn't want to go on living. That's why I tried to get the staff. If I didn't make it, I'd be out of my misery.
Ugh, that's a bit desperate, innit?
Enough about this girl.
All right.
Enthusiasm won't help you climb down a tree that is many miles high.
I found that out. My father forbade me to go after the staff. Too many of my ancestors entered the maw and never returned. I guess he knew what he was talking about.
Let's talk about something else.
Certainly.
What is this place?
This is the maw, called that because anything that goes in gets swallowed up. It's a sheer drop, ringed by trees on all sides. The only way to the bottom is straight down. It's an evil place. I'll never go near it again.
You're the prince of the elves?
Yes, I am heir to the throne. My father is the ruler of all elves on Pryan. If he knew what I had done, I'd never see the light of outdoors again.
Do you know anything about a big, ancient building? It has a door with 3 symbols on it.
An ancient building. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Perhaps the wizard can help you. He's been around forever.
Have you met this human wizard who supposedly talks to children?
Of course. His name is Zifnab. He's a human, but he's the strangest human I've ever met. Though admittedly, I haven't met all that many. He resembles you somewhat, but in place of your black hair with white tips, he has white hair with black tips. Do you know him?
Dun dun dun. He's a Sartan.
I'm not sure. Tell me more about him.
He stays out of sight most of the time and only shows up when we have scheduled a meeting. He also makes sure to keep out of the way of adults. They'll keep him away from us, he claims. Would you do that? Keep him away from us?
Of course not. He sounds harmless enough.
Whew, I'm so glad. I would really like you to meet him. He does the most spectacular tricks. Even when we don't understand half of what he says, he's always entertaining. If you'd like, I can lead you to the meeting place. There's a gathering tonight.
Huh. So, there's a Sartan still alive, and he's putting strange ideas into the minds of children.
All right, let's go.
Very good. The meeting should be fun, even though I didn't get the staff. Please follow me.
He wanders off into a shaded grove to the southeast. Wait for me. As you stroll into the clearing, you notice the children scurrying around, preparing the area. Some gather wood for a fire pit in the center. The remainder relax around the pit, on the ground or on a log lying nearby.
He's just upset because his girlfriend is coming and he didn't get the golden staff to impress her.
The prince collapses on a log, looking miserable. Others glare at him as they do their work but say nothing. The small girl carrying her doll says, blah blah blah. A white disc? Embedded in the ground, the surface is smooth and metallic and glows with magic. Can we learn more about it if we cast Identify on it? Haven't done that in a while.
Don't worry, it's dead. Not a live bug in it. Lucky for us.
This disc has the magical ability to transport someone instantaneously to another disc, its twin, wherever it may be. The magic is ignited by a simple spell of transportation, which unfortunately we don't know yet. A couple of boys approach the fiery pit carrying a cumbersome papery hive between them. They dump it into the hole. When the hive strikes the ground, the crash causes the others to jump back in surprise.
You don't know the half of it. My cousin tried to light one up when live bugs were still using it. You should have seen him afterward. He almost died.
Well, it's better than carting around a bunch of wood. These hives burn better than anything I've ever seen, and they're much lighter. Besides, I've kept my eye on this one for the last week. It's as dead gets.
The two boys return to the bushes looking for twigs. Mind if I take that? All of the children glare at you until you back away from the hive. Sorry. Guess we'll have to wait around a bit longer to see this Zifnab. The heap of combustibles grows higher as the children pile on the twigs and dead branches. Maybe we can talk to the little girl while we wait. No? You can't attract the attention of any of the children. They're too busy playing their own games. One child sprinkles dried moss around the massive hive, and the others sit down around the pit. Well, this Zifnab better show up quick. A child strikes a piece of flint against the flat rock she holds. The sparks fall into the dried moss in the hive. Immediately, the hive explodes into flame and the children applaud. Sure have their nice little cozy hiding place in the midst of this forest. Some of the children make themselves comfortable around the fire. They begin to chatter excitedly about something. With a pop, a hot ember leaps from the fire and lands nearby. A few children giggle at it but leave it where it lies. Yoink! Ow, 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 hot, hot, hot! Once you get the concept to register, you quickly drop the ember back on the ground. Can I carry it in the shell, maybe? Aha! We have a hot ember. You hear some rustling from the bushes. Immediately, the children's chatter stops. All eyes turn toward the sound. A pretty young human woman steps lithely from the branches. She's dressed in hunting leathers, but carries herself regally. A golden sword is strapped to her waist, and a flute is strung around her neck. She utters no words when she sees everyone looking at her, and instead walks to the log and sits down. She attempts to act unperturbed, although it's obvious she is uncomfortable with the attention. As soon as the woman arrived, the elven prince became entranced. His mouth dropped open and his eyes followed her every movement. When she sat down, he seemed torn between wanting to speak to her and wanting to run far, far away. Now he appears to have arrived at a compromise, sitting in place and staring at her while she pretends to ignore him. I seem to recall we have this book of love poems. Maybe those contain some of the words that he needs?
Thank you very much. I still need the Golden Staff of Rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I hold it. But even if I gain her respect with the staff, there's no guarantee she'll like me very much unless I can give her something nice, something as pretty as she is. I'm lucky that you gave me this book of love poems. If I ever get that far, at least I'll know what to say.
You're welcome. Something as pretty as she. Stereotypically, You want to give her some flowers, but...
I can't see how this would help me woo the princess. Thank you anyway, though.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Do you want to talk to us?
Even though you look to be human, I don't know you, and I don't speak to people I don't know.
Well, excuse me, princess. When is this Zifnap coming? The conversation dies suddenly. You look around to determine the cause and notice that everyone is staring at the disc in the ground. It has started to glow and is getting brighter every moment. A fountain of white fire bursts from the disc. It rises into the air, whipping and spinning about. With a flash, the font disappears, replaced by a somewhat confused-looking man dressed in a long white robe. As he smooths and brushes his garb, you dive behind a bush out of sight. There's no mistaking it. This man is Sartan, and you don't want to scare him away too soon.
Welcome, my little friends. It's time for the Zifnab show. I hope you're all comfortable. I seem to be without my beautiful assistant. Always liked her outfits, although I couldn't figure out how she kept from catching cold. Well, we'll have to make do without her. I hope you've all been thinking over what we talked about last time. I know you're just dying to philosophize about racial harmony.
Magic, 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 magic.
Hold on there.
Magic, magic, magic.
Whoa! Yes, I know that the races living in conflict is very tragic. That's why we're going to talk about it.
No, we want to see some magic.
Oh, magic! You want to see magic? Let's see. Any of you have a $50 bill? No? How about 100? Put that coin away, son. This trick only works with the high denominations. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Where'd the rabbit go to? I could have sworn I had a rabbit in my hat. Maybe it was bats in my belfry.
You stare open-mouthed at the outlandish figure. Without question, this Zifnap is a Sartan, but he is nothing like you envisioned. He seems harmless enough, perhaps even a little mad, but you know how powerful the Sartan were. Best just to observe. The purpose of this whole act could be to lull any potential enemies into underestimating him.
Well, let me try a real showstopper. What was that spell? It always gets everyone's attention. Feather fall? No, something else. Direfall. Fireball? Firehole? Wait, it'll come to me.
Zifnap stands in place contemplating his spell. The silence lengthens, but the other children don't mind. They turn to each other and talk, obviously used to these lapses. Time passes and in your crouched position your leg starts to cramp. Involuntarily you shift your weight. The movement shakes the bush you use as cover and attracts the Sartan's attention.
Is that a new little friend I see back there? Come on up here. Every new friend gets to grab a handful of pennies from the jar. My, you're a tall bugger, aren't you? Wait a moment, you're not a child. In fact, you're not even from Pryan. You're a patron.
Hi. The white robe Zifnap wears whips around as he whirls back towards the disc in the ground. Before he can do a thing, he traces a rune construct into the air. The spell floats into the white disc and appears to catch fire. You charge him, but before you even reach the disc, he has disappeared to wherever the spell has taken him. I've learned the spell. So, that was Zifnap. Goofy old feller. Dresses like Gandalf to boot. Let's see if we can follow after him. Aha, transportation. Shazam! You weave the spell in the air. It floats lightly over to the disc. It strikes, and an explosion of light obscures everything. Eventually, the light fades, but what reappears isn't at all like what was there before. Your surroundings are completely altered. The only thing that remains is the disc, but its color has changed to black. The base of a massive branch, shielded by leaves, is home to a dragon, who aren't apparently as mythological as we thought. The branch extends over the chasm between the trees. You appear on a wide branch. The somewhat weather-beaten Sartan stands in front of you. Behind him, you notice a gigantic reptile, something you'd heard stories about but never seen. A dragon.
Hello, patron. Before you do anything rash, I must inform you that we are both under the watchful eye of my pet dragon.
He turns to present a monstrous reptilian form stretched out behind him. Zifnap looks concerned and kicks the dragon's tail.
Wake up, you stupid dragon! I've got a bogey at 12 o'clock! Unfriendly fire! Traitor in our midst!
Slowly, the dragon opens its huge eye and regards you. The look it gives you says, I know he's a little excitable, but he's mine. Touch him and you'll answer to me. Then it closes the eye and starts snoring.
Whenever I really need him, does he help out? No, he sleeps! It's enough to make someone go out and get a cat! Well, since you're already in my home, I might as well be hospitable. Coffee, tea, a push off of the branch?
How about the second one?
Who are you?
I'm Cortex, the thinking machine. No, wait a second, that's not it. I knew a moment ago. Ooh, that's right. I'm James Bond, Agent 007. I've got a license to kill, so you'd better keep your distance. Somewhere I have a lighter that can obliterate half a continent. Either that or take your picture.
Well, maybe underneath that beard, he looks like Sean Connery.
What?
Something wrong with you? I told you! I'm Bond! James Bond! I don't think this boy's playing with a full deck.
No, you're not. You're Zifnab, the children told me.
Haha, that's just my cover! You a fool, huh? Can't blame you. I'm the best in the business.
Sure you are.
Quit fooling around. I know you're Zifnab. Although what kind of name Zifnab is, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah? Well, what kind of name is Haplo?
How'd you know my name is Haplo?
Your name is Haplo? Glad to meet you. I'm Zifnab.
I like this guy.
You didn't answer my question. How'd you know my name is Haplo?
Why, you just told me when you introduced yourself. You'd better start paying attention to the conversation if you're gonna learn anything.
Got me there.
Try to keep it together, Sartan. I need some information.
Well, let's see. I have a piece of microfilm lodged in my inner ear from my smuggling days, but I can't really talk about that. How about the weather? Pretty sunny, huh? Actually, talking about the weather isn't quite as interesting when it's always the same.
Why are you talking to the children about racial harmony?
The races have never been closer to tolerating each other, especially the children. If I can impress upon them the importance of peace, they may achieve unification.
You've referred to the unification. What exactly is it?
The unification, that's the racial harmony I've been talking about. When all the races come together and are capable of living with each other, the worlds are key to open their resources to the Mensch, wake up the sleeping Sartan, and ready the realm for the interconnection. Each world set up its own test to determine when the unification occurred. When the Mensch figured out the way into the Citadel, when they worked together to enter it, they will have unified. This was supposed to happen in every realm. After all of them were ready, the Council was supposed to complete the sundering by interconnecting the realms. The new society would begin. But it's been so long. Far too long. Something went wrong.
What do you think went wrong with the plan?
We took on too much ourselves. We were gods, and we were infallible. I warned Sama that we should wait. There were alternatives, but he didn't listen. He was full of his dream.
Zifnap stares off into space, lost in a world of his own. So, he was around in Sama's time. Interesting.
What is this dragon?
He's my pet dragon. I met him shortly after I came to Pryan. He took a liking to me, so I decided to adopt him. He told me that he embodies good in the wave. Doesn't make any sense to me. If he's supposed to be the personification of good, then he wouldn't be so lazy.
Though obviously all the time that he's been around hasn't done his mind any favors.
That dragon is the embodiment of good?
I know, hard to believe, isn't it? Especially since he didn't just eat you up as soon as you arrived.
Are you implying that I'm evil?
Of course not. Are you inferring that you are evil? That may be important. We might be on the verge of a breakthrough. A few more sessions and we'll be able to make some serious progress on your complex.
What's the wave?
You know, it's when a portion of the audience lifts their arms, followed by another portion, then another, until it completes a full circle around the stadium.
I don't even have to say anything anymore.
The wave is a little harder to explain. Reality is balanced. Good and evil can never be more powerful than each other. When that happens, the wave compensates. The dragon was created a long time ago in response to something else. Something very evil.
I don't like the sound of that.
Do you know what the evil thing was?
Is, my good man, is. Since my dragon here is still around, you must assume that his evil counterpart is still around as well. I have my theories as to its form, but it's such a depressing subject that I prefer not to talk about it.
Enough. Let's talk about something else.
All right. How about those Steelers? Think they'll go all the way?
Where are the other Sartan?
I don't know. Have you seen them? I figured they'd been hiding from me all this time. Some joke. I turn my back for a couple years, take a little moonlight stroll, and they all go away. Well, it's not funny!
This last part is screamed into the air, not directed at you.
Where do you think they could be hiding?
Well, I left them in the Citadel when I went for a walk. I assumed that they'd be along, but they never came. I haven't seen them since.
I found a group of them on Arianis. They were in crystal coffins.
Of course they were. The unification has yet to take place on Arianis. When it does, the coffins will open and the Sartan will come out to help the mensch.
No, you don't understand. I did something there and the coffins opened. All of the Sartan were dead.
They're dead? All dead? How did it happen? How could it happen? You did this, patron, didn't you? Somehow your race has struck back and killed us. Admit it!
Yeah.
You're wrong, Zifnab. One of my missions is to find out where the Sartan disappeared to. If the Sartan are dying off, it's not of my doing.
Ah, of course. Your people were imprisoned when this happened. You couldn't have had anything to do with it. There's something else out there.
Why are you here?
I don't know why I'm here exactly. Even though our policy is non-interference when it comes to the unification, I felt I had to help it along. It's been so long and the mensch have never been so close as they are now.
Yeah, screw the Prime Directive.
How long have you been here? Alone?
I'm not alone. I've got my dragon, I've got the children. I don't need more than that. But it seems like a long time since I've seen any of my people. A long time.
Clearly.
Let's talk about something else. You're obviously uncomfortable with this subject.
Suit yourself.
Where is Pryan's seal piece?
Ah, the seal piece. Your lord needs it, huh? You know, there are better uses for it than what he intends.
He's surprisingly sharp.
What do you know about my lord?
Oh, nothing. I'm sure he's a wonderful fella. Life of the party kind of guy. Am I right? I'll bet he could show me a card trick or two.
How do you know what my lord intends?
What do patron lords usually intend after they've escaped from thousands of years of imprisonment? You think maybe he wants to conquer the realms, reform the world to enslave the masses? No, nobody's that antisocial.
What uses?
Interested? Well, back in the old days, we had plans for those pieces. Big plans. Plans that make other plans look really small. Really huge plans. And important, woo-wee! You don't get any more important than those plans. That's how we made plans in the old days. Big and important.
Well, what were your plans?
What plans?
Don't try and throw me off track. Where is it?
All right, don't get in a huff. Where did we put that piece? Didn't we build something to put it in? Oh, that's right. It's in the Citadel.
Could have guessed that myself.
Where is the Citadel?
Oh, it's that way, I think. You should be able to see it from the air in your flying ship. It's really big. Had to be, you know.
How do I get in?
That's a toughie. No one can get in. In fact, it was designed to keep everyone out. I certainly don't think any exceptions were made for angry patrons. Of course, after the unification, anyone could just walk right through the front door.
You mean I'll have to make all of the races get along before I can get that door open?
Well, it's not quite that difficult. We set up a test to detect when the races started to get along. We gave each a symbol. A golden sword to the humans, a golden staff to the elves, and a golden hammer to the dwarves. If a representative from each race places their symbol upon the door to the Citadel at the same time, it will open. The three races must do it together. One man with all the symbols wouldn't be able to open the door.
Where are all of those symbols?
They certainly didn't take quite the care of them that we hoped they would. Only the humans still revere their symbol, but they look on it as a symbol of leadership instead of its actual meaning, the humans' role in a new integrated society. Every human leader carries it. It gives them the authority to rule. I believe the current holder is the young princess who occasionally comes to my gatherings. The elves threw their staff into a local pit called the Maw. It's been lost for generations. I don't know how the unification can occur until it is recovered. The dwarves, straight-lined practical thinkers that they are, took one look at the hammer, decided that it was the most inferior hammer they'd ever seen, and stuck it deep in their weapons vault. I don't think they even remember that they have it.
Didn't you come from there? How'd you get out?
Getting out is not the same thing as getting in. In fact, they're two entirely different things. Yin and yang, night and day, black hat and white hat.
With that, Zifnap removes his hat, squints at it, and pounds on it until it looks worse than ever. Satisfied, he replaces it on his head and smiles.
Where'd you get these transporter discs?
They're just something I picked up. Rather handy, don't you think? I had to plant the white one in the ground to keep the children from wandering off with it. I wouldn't want to appear in the middle of the campfire. Well, if I didn't have them, I'd have to rely on my pet dragon to take me everywhere, and getting him out of bed could blow a whole day. As far as I know, there's no other way back to the nearest tree.
How do I get in?
That's a toughie.
Isn't there any other way?
Well, let's see. A spell might help you out. Maybe if you blew down a wall or something. There's one spell I remember. What was it? Tie a wall, lie a stall? I can't seem to recall. Oh well, sorry I couldn't help.
Tell me more.
All right.
All right.
That's a pretty open-ended question.
How is the Citadel a fortress?
At present, that seems to be the only task that it accomplishes on a regular basis. All of its other functions were intended to come online following the unification. Right now, the Citadel lies dormant. The Titans roam the forest. Everything waits on the unification. That's why I'm trying so hard to convince the children to throw away their prejudices.
Titans? What are they?
The Titans are magical creatures created to operate the Citadel. We built them to last too. Big suckers, maybe 3 times your height, and powerful enough to rip up a small tree. Their appearance is a little unsettling. They don't have any eyes. Don't need them. We gave them enough magic to sense everything around them. In fact, they can sense things miles away when they're motivated enough. When we built this realm, we dumped them into the forest. Until the Citadel powered up, they had nothing to do. I think they went a little crazy. They knew they were supposed to serve the Sartan, and they knew that the Citadel was important, but that's about it. Titans aren't the smartest creatures. Somehow they found a Sartan relic. I think it was a crystal sculpture of some sort. Without purpose in their lives, they fixated on it. To them, I suppose it had religious significance, and to this day, they worship it. Against all of our expectations, the Mensch actually encountered the Titans. Dwarves moved into the area surrounding the Titans' forest. They understandably wandered in. The Titans reacted by defending their relic, and they drove the dwarves off, dragging their wounded behind them. But dwarves are stubborn creatures, and they continue to live just outside of the forest. As long as they stay outside, the Titans leave them alone. The two races live in uneasy peace. The Titans notice nothing besides their artifact, and the dwarves leave it alone. Those dwarves are understandably nervous, living so close to their enemy, so they keep a stock of weapons handy. I don't think they've actually pulled them out for years, but having them available makes them feel more secure.
What exactly is the Titan's purpose? Why'd you make them?
The Citadel is a big place. It needed a lot of workers to keep it running smoothly. Instead of enslaving the Mensch or working the Citadel ourselves, we tailor-made a race to do it for us. We also designed them to protect the Citadel, and ironically, the Mensch as well. Somehow, they've perverted this defensive behavior to focus on the crystal artifact to the exclusion of everything else. Of course, their unnatural interest in this piece of Sartan refuse should disappear when the Citadel is open. The unification will trigger the imprinted behavior that will summon the Titans into the Citadel. They should start it operating and they'll forget about everything in their previous lives.
What's the Titan's magic sense like?
The Titans had to be given the power to sense the position of objects, even though the objects might be out of sight. This was principally for the operation and repair of the Citadel after it started working. Because they were equipped with this sense, we decided not to give them eyes. They see better than you or I, and they track better than any scout since they already know the location of something even when they're away from it.
How is the Citadel a city?
We intended the Citadel to house everyone, the humans, the elves, and the dwarves all together. Naturally, this couldn't happen until they learned to live peacefully among each other. So its halls wait, empty and dead, for the unification.
How is the Citadel a power station?
Pryan has a role in the whole. Following the interconnection, Pryan was to supply power to the other realms. Its 4 suns produce more than enough energy for itself and the other worlds. The Citadel was supposed to control the flow of energy from the suns through the Death Gate into the other worlds.
How about we talk? I have had enough. Goodbye, Sartan.
Well, I can't say I'm sorry to see you go, Haplo. But take care. You have many trials ahead of you. The fate of the world rests on your shoulders.
Well, that was certainly an enlightening conversation. But I suppose we're going to have to leave it here. And we'll continue this little adventure next time. So, I'm Amayirot. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.